You can have a room full of strong leaders and still have a weak leadership team, not because people lack capability, but because of what happens between them. I've been in a number of leadership team meetings recently where everything looked right. Good people, thoughtful discussion, decisions being made, movement happening. Nothing that you could point to and say, that's the problem. But if you stayed with the team for a while, something starts to repeat. A decision made early in the week needed to be clarified again a few days later. A conversation that felt really resolved came back again in a slightly different form. A small number of people keep stepping in to bring clarity back into the room. And over time, you could feel it. The work wasn't moving cleanly. It was being redone. Nothing looked broken, but the pattern was there. The instinct is to explain that at the level of individuals. Who needs to step up here? Who needs to communicate more clearly? Who needs to take more ownership? But that framing is too small, because what you're seeing is not an individual problem, it's a system problem. Leadership at team level is not an individual trait, it's a property of interaction. When leaders come together, their behavior doesn't simply add up, it interacts. And that interaction starts shaping what is possible almost immediately. You can see it in small, easily missed moments. Someone begins to offer a different perspective, pauses, and then shortens it because the conversation has already moved on. A leader starts asking a question, but answers it themselves before the room has had time to think. A point gets summarized, and from that moment on, the discussion orbits around that version of the issue. What's important here is not the individual behavior, it's what the interaction is doing to the thinking. That is what Weck described. Meaning is constructed in interaction, not before it. This is why strong individuals don't automatically produce a strong leadership team, because behavior inside a team is not just a personal choice, it's a response. If ambiguity isn't being held, someone resolves it. If tension isn't processed, someone absorbs it. If clarity doesn't travel, someone restores it. Over time, leadership stops being distributed, it becomes concentrated. So the shift for leaders is not just to develop people, it's to start observing interaction. In your next leadership meeting, watch what's happening between people. Who speaks first? Who closes decisions? Who clarifies meaning after the meeting? Who carries unresolved tension? Who stops contributing once the direction is set? These are not personality traits, they are patterns, and they tell you how leadership is actually functioning. If those patterns stay invisible, the team adapts around them. People step in, they smooth things over, they keep things moving. But what's actually happening is that pressure is being redistributed. As Heifetz points out, when a system can't hold a problem collectively, the work moves to individuals, usually the same individuals. And over time, the system continues to function, but only because someone is compensating for it. That's where strong teams start to feel heavy. Not because people aren't capable, but because the system isn't distributing the work, it's concentrating it. And what looks like strength becomes dependency. So the move is not just to improve individuals, it's to change what you're paying attention to. Go back to the interaction. Watch it closely, because that's where leadership is actually being produced. You cannot align what you cannot see. And most leadership teams are trying to align around goals and decisions while the interaction shaping them remains invisible. Now, if this feels familiar, I've unpacked this further in the article and podcast this week. And if you want to explore it directly, I run a complimentary leadership pressure diagnostic to help make those patterns visible before they quietly become culture. Because in the end, you don't lead a team by improving the parts. You lead it by shaping how the parts work together.